Hey, welcome back. And happy New Year. Happy 2023. Yeah. It's, hey, I can't stop saying the app, boy. I thought about that this week. The APP, why?
Why, boy?
I don't know. I don't know. Just try to say something different. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Welcome back to the APP.
Yes.
You know me.
Welcome into 2023.
Yeah.
Very first episode of the year.
Yeah, I'm Naldo.
I'm Jude.
Right, fan. For the people who are not too sure what APP means, it's the Alternative Perspectives Podcast. Yeah?
And we're doing the same thing we was doing last year. We're coming straight into... When I say the same thing, the same vibes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably try to cut out a little bit of the crime news. We try. We will try.
I just mentioned that we got to start on that. But
we'll
get to that.
I'm going to say...
We'll get to that. No, when I say we start... Because I want to dwell on it. So I just want to get it out of the way fast.
All right.
Right? So before we jump in, a question I want to pose to you. But
you want to deal with peace or peace? I don't know. Right? We want to have peace?
Yes.
Or spend peace at the time? I don't know.
But a different... The right kind of peace. That's what we want.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, in this day and age...
You gotta be careful. You gotta be specific too.
Exactly.
You know,
which piece you want to buy.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly. Yeah. You gotta spell it out for people.
If you're going for your piece, you know, we're going for. Which piece you're going for?
Right.
Yeah, that kind of vibe. Boy, so what we kicking it off with this evening?
Well, but before we get into that, how was the Christmas? How was the New Year? You spending? I mean, I saw you once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Normally I see you more regularly than that, but I see you once over the holiday period.
Yeah. Well,
what was the vibes? How it was? How you pass it?
Well, it was a lot of work. I would admit it was a lot of work.
I mean, like work at home, cleaning?
No, not much of that to do here.
Okay,
I mean, I live in a matchbox. So that you could just pass the broom, swing the broom twice, and you go.
You not let everybody know your business, though.
But you could see it, dog. You could see.
Listen,
we're in the living room.
Listen,
and that's the kitchen.
This is the studio. This is the downstairs studio.
Okay.
This is the downstairs studio.
All right.
Don't. I know you don't want people look for your house to rob you, but people, there's the downstairs studio here. So
right.
He just trying to be bashful. Go ahead.
Right. I just say, yeah. I mean, hey boy, you know what? I had an experience with. I got brutalized for the first time.
Serious?
Yeah, boy.
Police find you looking a little suspect on the road. They started drifting.
So.
You're sleeping on yourself, or?
So here how this went. Old years into New Year's. Now, normally, old years into New Year's is something I just bring in home now, boy. But the family say, hey, we having a family thing, and we went down in town. No problem, thing, bringing in New Year, watch fireworks, rooftop thing, vibes, whatever. Coming up the road, I had my little cousin with me. You don't fire on all cylinders. But Solia has a full drink in his cup, rum and coke, whatever. He little under the influence, he little inebriated, and we in the traffic in the roadblock now, boy.
Right.
So what they did is, by Cipriani Labour College, they park police cars on two sides. Well, two lanes, and they had to come down into one small lane. So everybody, and there are police walking alongside the cars. And homeboy is pretty loud now, boy. Because he done drink. And he had the drink in his hand.
Yeah.
When I watch the situation, even before I drive by the police, I see a boy, prepare to get take.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool. All right. So when the policeman come, he walk on my side, he was okay. Like he noticed the drinks, he walk across on the next side, he watching. He said, driver, how much drinks you had for the night? I said, honestly, I had 2 drinks.
Yeah.
Now, this time is about minutes or 4 in the morning, right? He said, right, pull aside. No, the thing is, I ain't not going to lie to you. You understand what I say?
Right.
So I say, all right, pull aside. But I'm not feeling intoxicated in the slightest. You understand what I say?
Right.
If I eat piece of bread, I just feel worse off. Right? Yeah. So, all right, cool. Now, my issue with the situation, because at the end of the day, the police had to do their work and me vex them because if it have anything that looking a little shady, I think you should address it. And at the end of the day, if I mean, that person could go on to kill somebody, right?
Yeah.
So, no problem. What I had 2 issues in this stop. One, it was a female police officer giving it the rundown. There's the breathalyzer. She is breathalyzer technician, whoever, blah, 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 blah. Hear the whole spiel. right? This is the amount. It is 35. If you cross 35, if you reach 36, that means 2 more tests will have to be administered, where they'll be administered at some station, and we're letting you know it's an offense to eat or drink anything in between leaving here and heading to that station, and blah, 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 right? No problem. Then, so I like, all right, okay, no problem, yeah. When she done, here's the question she asked, right? After talking for a while and explaining other things, here's the question she asked. She says, so, do you submit yourself for the breathalyzer test?
Yeah.
I was like, don't do that. So she stopped. I say, because once you stop me and bring me to be breathalyzed, and I refuse to take the breathalyzer, there's a charge. So don't act like if I at this point have the option, right? And in my opinion, I don't know if that's how they train the police. If in all the things you're spilling to me, you could have said, listen, if you refuse to take the breathalyzer, you will be charged. Do you submit yourself to be breathalyzed? So is it that she was trying to outsmart me now? If you understand what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I don't think it would have gone straight from if you said no to a charge.
Right.
It would have been if you said no, she would have advised you
at that point.
Accordingly.
But why not tell people that from the start? You don't think? I think that could make a whole process, less friction,
less contentious. Yeah. Maybe she forgot. Maybe I don't know.
Right. So when she said that, right? So I was like, yeah, don't do that. The only day Suzuki's. She said, well, we had to test you. Your eye looking glassy. So
right.
I mean, you clearly you're intoxicated. I say okay. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't bother to argue because in my mind this only happened because
I
was in the car. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, she bring the breathalyzer, I'll tell it to blow, and I'll tell you when to stop or whatever. So I did blow, stop. So she stand up and she put it in front of me and she waiting out to 0. Oh, it's 0. I say, I could tell you that. Right? The other officer come. How much is this? 0. Okay, well, the thing enjoyed you saying as well. I said, I cool, all the thing happy new year, whatever. And I boss. My thing is, where that talk come from with my eye looking glassy and you could see her intoxicated? Where that come from?
I guess, I don't know, maybe I look glassy to her. Maybe she really... Listen, you say she wasn't the one who called you out the car?
Nah, she was not the one who stopped me.
Well, maybe I look glassy to her. Maybe, and maybe in her mind, she feel everybody who coming up that road there was saucy. You know what I mean? She just feel everybody that them pull over drunk.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, whether you saying you're drunk or not, yeah, you're probably drunk. You know what I mean?
But my thing is, that's fine, you know. But give the breathalyzer to see what the end result is. Don't tell me my eye glassy and I had to be intoxicated.
Well, when she was confident, she was feeling herself, she thought... From the time you started, she's static, right? She might be like, oh, well, that's static. I go and breathalyze you and you go and get charged here tonight. And she started feeling herself, and that came out in the way she was interacting with you. And well, luckily for you, that wasn't the case. So you get the last laugh on her now, boy.
And my thing is, oh God, boy, we could make these things much easier. This unnecessary. And I think going forward, that's what I want to see for 2023, the police to be. I'm not saying to be friends with the citizens, but oh God, boy, I just act like if all I care about you and all I'm trying to like you sound like it. I want to catch you in something. Boy.
Well, not even like you care about me. You know, I don't even want you to sound like you care about me. I just want you to sound dispassionate, sound objective.
Right?
I'm doing this because I don't have nothing against you, but my colleague. Feel it's a reason to breathalyze you. I'm going to breathalyze you.
Right.
And
that's fine.
Leave all the emotions out of it now, boy. Unless I start against... Now, she probably would feel that what you did was give her static, right? Because there are some people who just feel like, I am in authority. You questioning my authority in any way, shape, or form is you giving me static. Now, you could have felt that all you did was, ask her a question or just... simply point out that something she was saying was unnecessary, right? But she see that as, what happened? As a police, well, you're supposed to just follow my instructions, you know what I mean? So that is probably why she took it there. But I just want them to take the emotions out of the work. Unless they're not robots. So obviously, if people start to get real problems, I could understand why.
Right.
You know what I mean? But just keep your emotions out of it. That's all I want. I don't want you to try to be my friend or pretend to be my friend.
The thing is, I was real normal. Okay, yes, no problem. Throughout the whole thing, it's just when they come with that one and they say, "Do you submit it?" I say, "Wait, don't do that." I say, "Once you all pull me here, I cannot. If I decline, right, to subject myself for this brutalizer, I would be charged. So I can't do anything but subject myself at this point. Well, I could deny and then be charged. And I don't want to be charged. So right." And what I do want to say...
No, you could deny and be charged and present your defense as to why you refuse at the time. You know? So it's not like if you have to. You can say, no, I refuse to, and they could charge you for refusing to subject yourself to it, and then you could present your case. And I would suspect several defenses for that particular charge, and you would fight your case, and, you know, whatever come of it.
But right now...
So I guess you feel like, in other words, I can't shove this thing in your mouth, so... I still need your permission because this is something that involves you.
And my thing is I didn't mind that, but I think I would have liked for her to say if it because I felt like you're trying to outsmart me.
Like she's trying to trip you up.
Yeah. And I felt that way, and I felt like don't do me that. Like I've been real respectful, I've been real kind, I've been real normal. You don't need to do that.
Maybe you read a little bit too much into that because, like I say, it's not like if you had said no. It would have gone from there into, well, lock him up. It would have gone like, oh, no. Well, let me advise you that should you refuse to, there'll be XYZ consequences. And at that point, you would have had the choice. But she just didn't say it beforehand.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, we hope is that.
So I guess you came into 2023 with a little interaction with the police. Hopefully that doesn't redound into the rest of 2023. Let's hope that's the only interaction you have with the police.
Yeah. We are hoping that too. I'm hoping.
Before we jump into the topics, right? As you mentioned, crime. There was something that occurred to me that I want to get your take on because it both confuses and frustrates me. Right now, again, 2023 has begun in the same way 2022 ended. Killings, and now we've had a 6-year-old dying, right? A 6-year-old who, excuse me there, who, from all indications, was not the target of the attack, but was collateral damage and so on, right? So now, because we had that situation, we had a baby, a toddler, a baby, can't remember, losing his life, was a boy.
Which one?
I believe was it Maruga towards the end of last year, a woman and a child.
Right, I heard about that. Yeah.
Right. So we've had children become collateral damage in these sorts of instances, right? And it's now it's not a pattern, but it's more frequent. So now, I was looking at the news this evening. I was looking at the news last evening. I've been reading the daily publications. And why we have this stupid habit in this country, and I blame the media for it, of latching on to the incidental nature or the incidentals in any particular circumstance rather than the substantive matter. So now we have... we bring in on the police officer who's in charge of child issues or child welfare issues or was the branch of the police specifically in looking after crimes against you. Anyway, you bring in that person on to talk about it. You have all these experts, former Senator Mahabi Wyatt, because she's well, I guess you could call her a child activist. She is now talking and she's saying, children are not valued. And so we begin to treat the issue as if it's children
are
the problem.
Like children are being targeted.
You understand what I'm saying? When obviously the issue is we have runaway crime, gang violence in most instances, organized crime, and these children are losing their lives. Because as the police officer was mentioning when she was questioned on the news this evening, we should remember that, there are crimes where children are the targets, which would be most of them being sexual crimes and so on, right? But these instances are completely different. So why are we acting as if this is going to take some special new approach or warrants some special kind of outrage? Now I understand we don't like when children are harmed, of course. But why do we? So it's the same thing we do with women, right? So I don't know, these aren't the actual stats, but I just, saying that if we had 23 murders of women in 2019 and 29 in 2020, why are women being targeted? Now, we may also have had 400 murders in 2019 and 600 in 2020. So obviously murders is a problem. And women it's that the fact that women are being killed in larger numbers is incidental to the fact that we just generally have a more murderous society.
But there's a
why do we
causation
do that?
versus
correlation. Yeah. Why do we do that? And why does the media in particular do that? Why are they so, I don't want to just say reactive, but it's almost like if they only want to tackle it from the point of, well, there's the hot button issue, and some dotish news editor go be, well, it's children you're talking about, so call somebody from the Child Welfare Association, call somebody from call a children activist, and we go and we bring them into the conversation as if the issue now is specifically about children being targeted, when what we have is that incident with the young girl who lost her life however many days ago, that would not have happened if the gang violence was not prevalent.
Gang violence or gun violence.
Right. No, but they're saying that was specifically a gang related attack that went wrong, right?
No, I was saying, and if we on the whole, if we were managing the gun situation, if gun crimes didn't reach as far as it reached, no.
Right, exactly. But we kind of distract from the conversation, the substantive conversation, the conversation that could be rather constructive, and we go into the retardedness. Why do we do that? Or why you feel? Because obviously you can't speak for them.
Yeah. The thing is, why I think, as I say, is we have a culture. You must do something or you must say something. And when you don't know what to say, you just say anything. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
So
who do we call to address this situation on the TV? Because at the end of the day, plenty people who doing morning shows and all these things, plenty of them just trying to fill time,
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Plenty of them who producing these shows, they just really trying to fill time.
Yeah.
But we had to get some way to fit this or this. All right, boom. And it had two things ring in their mind now.
Right.
A child welfare person.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
They just make the connection.
Yeah, bam, child. All right.
Right.
And it's not related at all, but and hey, right, yeah, thing. Yeah, call that person. And I mean, but well, as you know, that level of journalism or that poor level of journalism, not here alone, apparently.
Yeah.
It's an infect everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what it is. When and I think in Trinidad and Tobago right now, putting in the crime and whatnot, people don't know what to do, they don't know what to say.
Right.
So now is just try anything. Just say anything.
Just say anything.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say to that is, yes, I understand they need to fill time, and bringing somebody on to talk is not even an issue. It's not a problem I have, right? But it's what you're asking them when you bring them on. You could have brought somebody from the police force, right? But you could have asked them intelligent questions about what is going to be done to tackle gang crime, gang-related violence, gun violence, murders in general, right? You could have done that. You could have filled the time because yes, crime is a big issue. The child dying is a topic that is on everybody's minds and lips and everybody's. So you want to touch on that. That's not an issue.
But that's the hard thing, because what do you ask somebody at this point? Because clearly the Prime Minister seemed like he doesn't know what to do. The Minister of National Security seemed like they don't know what to do. So I mean, it kind of hard to get somebody from the police service unless they want to get the
Child Protection Unit. That's what it was.
Yeah.
The
right?
Child Protection Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Yeah,
right.
So the thing, and I think if you walk into any newsroom and bring up a topic like that, most of them be like, boy, it don't have nothing to ask again, you know.
No, okay, but that's true. That is true. But they still ask them anyway. Like if the Prime Minister sat in front of any one of them for an interview, you know, they still ask them what you gonna do about crime. He fish fan, so he might give a political cliched answer or whatever. But fine. But ask him. And okay, so they got the woman from the TTSCPU, the Child Protection Unit of the police, right? They got her on to, I think it was CNC3 I was watching, and they got her on to talk about it, right? They didn't have to speak to her, first of all, right? Because when you're trying to connect what she is really in charge of and what happened, there's a disconnect, but clearly they didn't understand that. She has been part of the Child Protection Unit. The matters that division, the police service would normally be dealing with is child abuse, sexual abuse, that sort of thing. But now you're talking about gang crime where children are collateral damage. So was she even the right person to bring on in the first place? But like you say, child dead, children dying, bring on a Child Protection Unit person. You understand? And asking her questions like parenting and, you know, what could be done. And she just said, well, we had to protect children, right? When a better thing would have been to get the anti-gang or whatever division, the police service that's specifically, sets out to target organized crime, right? The organized crime unit, right? You could have gotten the head of that onto the police, onto the TV and ask him, what is the police, what are the new tactics or the new strategies that the police service or the organized crime unit would be employing in order to bring some sort of ease to the situation. You know what I mean? Why you could have done that, and that would have made sense, but we don't do that. So now we're going to turn it into a children dying issue, and let's talk about child issues, and that's about it.
You know, they could have bring on boy. Was he the pastor for like the 7 days? Pastor dude.
Who's that? Which one?
What's his name? But go on. He's real talking. He talk real fast sometimes. A 7 days priest or pastor. And he like to talk. He's go and talk to children plenty. Dutton.
Oh, he's Seventh-day Adventist?
Yeah, I heard so.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, yeah, pastor.
That's disappointing. But
okay, I don't think I'm Seventh-day Adventist. I just didn't know he was. Yeah, I guess. But again, you could have gotten him on to talk about organized crime and young people getting involved in organized crime. And that might have made sense.
It might make more sense to call him. And then he go tell you, well, boy, we talking to children and whoever, and we talking to whoever and whoever, and we bring all the children and them, and I guess that might have make more sense.
I mean, and people might feel a nitpicking here, but the reason why it irritates me is because I feel we do, because this is just one instance, but we do it all the time. We do it all the time, and we distract from, or we let the people who should be answering the questions get away, because we are too reactive to the, you know, there's the buzz issue or the buzzword, and we just react to the buzzword.
I still find that point with the Andrea Barra thing, because there were, let's say, rumors or allegations that what might have caused her death or her to be targeted was something she found out at work. Right. But everybody ran off with the
fact that it was a young lady,
gender-based violence, and totally turn a blind eye to. Was it possible that it could have really been that?
Right.
And possibly corruption within the
judiciary
right? Everybody
or the court system.
And it's because everybody went on the gender-based violence. But
that's all they want to talk about. That's all they want to hear.
Then a possible situation that could be fixed or addressed or stopped from happening in the future.
Right. And not just that, it's you simply, because some people would say, well, what difference it make? It was a woman who was targeted by a man. Yeah, but but when you call it gender-based violence, you make it, you imply that the woman was targeted because specifically due to her gender. This was something where it would have been encouraged or motivated by chauvinistic attitude and so on. But if this was just simply organized crime, then all of what you're saying there has no bearing on the situation, and they didn't seem to be in any way, shape or form interested in whether there might have been another explanation
and the possibility that it could happen again. And we'll say if there's plenty of women who tend to work in those clerical positions, then the next woman
could easily be the target. But it just irritates me. So I feel like I didn't want to talk about that today, but I just had to get it off my chest. So
So what I would tell is that I don't think you will get any better journalism going into 2023. So do look forward to that. Right?
I ain't looking forward to it, yeah, but I just hope that we wise up and start demanding more, because ultimately, like with everything, like with the politicians, like whatever, when we allow it, when we watch that on the news and just say, yeah, all right, cool, whatever, as opposed to saying, hey, what shit is that? What ain't making, what you asking a woman ain't making no sense. Bring her on in the first place is trying to tie that to what happened is retarded. What are you doing? You know what I mean? But it is what it is.
Hey, people still watching them on you, by the way.
That was on the news, bro. It was in the news. It was in the news. It was a live interview during the newscast.
Okay, all right.
It was. I mean, okay, a morning show. Again, I could kind of understand, like you say, you're trying to fill time with interviews and so on. Again, you could have brought somebody different and asked them different things. But because I mean, the next thing is because you brought on the woman from the Child Protection Unit, they couldn't really ask her about, you know, organized crime fighting efforts. So you kind of tie yourself up from the beginning because you bring on the Child Protection Unit woman, so you got to talk specifically about child protection, right? But you are trying, because she would normally be preaching a certain message and agenda. I'm sure at all events she's asked to speak at. You know, she has her spiel. You know, how we go about protecting children, look out, be mindful. You know, for abuse, signs of abuse, that kind of thing. Those are the things that she would normally be doing.
She have a script.
Right.
Yeah.
So you bring on, but you now trying to tie her into, well, that little girl who get killed last week, and she's like, well, that's a completely different vibes. You understand? And I probably ain't the right person to be asking questions on how to solve that. But you know, they're just so one dimension and they're thinking.
But to be fair, she could have, when they call and tell her what they wanted to talk to her about, she could have tell them, well, nah, he's not the right person to talk to either. And they should probably call so.
Right, true.
Yeah, understand?
True. But
because let me get an example. You know when they had called you to talk on the Sheila thing, right? On the TV station, right? They called me first, and I was like, well, to be real honest, I don't think, because I don't feel any way about it in either direction, right? I really don't feel no way about it. So it makes no sense. I come on the TV to tell you what I was, right? It don't make a difference to me. You know what I'm saying? So I think you should talk to Jude, especially Jude being more in a direction of a particular ethnicity. So you understand what I'm saying?
One direction.
But you know, he kind of more to one side of ethnic wise, right? But me being this Douglas here, you know, coming to. So I was like, nah, I think you should probably talk to Jude. You understand what I'm saying? I could have said, why want my time on the TV?
Well, I mean, I was about to say that. She could probably have said, you know what? Part of her role is to promote awareness of child protection. And so, again, a chance to come on the news. I'll come and push my spiel, you know, advance my agenda, which is a public awareness about child protection. So she probably saw it as an opportunity to do that. And we don't know, maybe the producers didn't really tell her that, you know, we go start asking questions about children who are killed in gang violence, you know, as collateral damage in gang violence. You know, that's not, they probably didn't let her know that.
Boy.
But anyway, we don't spend too much time on this topic. Let me lighten up the vibes.
Carnival time is
here? Switch gears. Yeah, Carnival time is here. We start of 2023. And the start of every year in Trinidad and Tobago, one thing is the focus until Ash Wednesday. And that's Carnival. Right. And so far, Carnival, as far as I'm concerned, has brought us plenty bacchanal, but very little by way of good music. So, that's not what? So, we'll get into the lack of good music in a minute. But the first element of bacchanal is Marshall and his decision to throw a fit his concert on Carnival.
All right, just before we start with that, I had to say rest in peace to Black Stallion.
Oh yes, R.I.P. to Black Stallion.
Yes, rest in peace to Black Stallion. Before we jump into this, you know, let the boss himself, you know, rest.
Well, one of the bosses.
Yeah. He was a real boss to me.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
No, I said to me,
or maybe also he was your boss.
Yeah.
Okay,
in real high regard.
Right.
Because the man had a kind of sweetness to his voice that, and a sweetness and a power that
and versatility. Bro.
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, boy.
I mean, they don't make art. Well, I shouldn't say they don't make artists like him again. And maybe we tend to over romanticize legends. When they kind of pass their prime, and maybe we might say some of the same things about some of the artists around now. But one of the things I always appreciate about Black Stallion was his versatility. He could hit you, bond them, and he could hit you, Black Man Feeling to Party. You understand what I'm saying? And he not changing his demeanor. He not changing his vibe. He not changing anything about the core element of his performance and his essence. But he delivering them with the same kind of energy and power and impact on you. You know what I mean? So, Stalin. You know what I mean? But the only reason I say one of is just, you identify him as the boss. Some people might, I've catch it, huh? All that. So that why I just say one of the bosses. But definitely not. There were some older Calypsonians that I had to gain an appreciation for as I grew older. Stalin is not one of them.
True.
I like Stalin since I was small. You know what I mean?
True.
So big up to him and rest in peace.
Right. So jumping into the bacchanal now. Now here's my thing. You know me, it's always a little more complicated for me. One, if we as a people want Soca Monarch to exist, I disagree with Marshall's choice, right? Now, I understand that there's free market and you can do what you want when you want. You could pay a party whenever. But if we think or we believe that Soca Monarch is a necessity to help grow the culture and grow the music and whatnot, then his movement or his
well, if
decision,
he believes or we believe, because
if we believe, that's if we believe, because he might believe something different. You know what I'm saying?
No, okay, but what you're saying is if we believe that, then his decision is wrong. But what I'm saying
is... I disagree with it. I'm not saying his decision is wrong, but I disagree with his decision.
Okay.
Right?
Or you're unhappy that he's doing it.
Yeah, because I would hope that he would want the art form and the culture to grow and build.
Right.
However, I must say that I am not one of the people who support or thinks that competition in music necessarily works for the best for the music.
For the culture.
Right? So, but people always have that debate with me when I'm saying that, right? And I'm one person, and I'm okay with if the majority think, it should be there and it's important, cool, or they do all the thing. For me, back when I was managing artists, I would normally tell them, if you're going to just do the exposure, but don't go to try to win, right? I mean, it helps in the exposure for one when they're doing the ads. If your name calling, they might play a song and that kind of thing. I mean, it has some rigmarole in it, but right, it could work out in terms of exposure. But don't try to go along there and fight that fight. But yeah,
don't adjust your music to the competition.
Right, yeah. And so and that's my thing. So if we so see build anything and all the thing that is what they sell build thing, some people say Soca Monarch was the avenue for a lot of young artists to get opportunity to show themselves and show their right.
I think all Soca Monarch does is gives how it might help is prize money helps to develop the artists. They could, if you go and you win something that could go into next year or that could go into, it's really hustle. It's really hustle. I don't think it does anything to develop artists. I don't think there's anybody who was off the public's radar until that Soca Monarch performance. No. Any youngster who came on the Soca Monarch scene and dazzled, his song would have been big that year.
Right.
It's not he didn't need to come on the Soca Monarch stage for us to know he existed. It's not like them talent competitions, Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent. Not like that. I never hear about you before and then I see you on the stage. Oh my God. No, if you reach Soca Monarch finals.
There's a very low chance of you passing the semis if you're thinking hitting.
Yeah, if your song hitting, and to be fair, if your song not hitting and you're still reaching Soca Monarch finals, nobody cares about you. It's one of them people that nobody care about when you're performing. People turning their back and walking off, and they're not taking you on, right? So any artist who gained exposure through Soca Monarch would have had the exposure that Carnival season. All it would have done, it would put money in their pocket. It would have, if you know, the appearance fee would have helped to put money in your pocket, and then because of how the industry is here in Trinidad, that could be very important for your survival as artists.
Well, the thing is, so all right, so let's look at it from that perspective. I think that is an important perspective to look at it from, because let's say it's at the top artists who don't making money, right? But have a few of them who might make it to Soca Monarch, but who will not make that kind of money because I don't know what appearance fee is like now, but it's at a point in time where you used to get like $100,000 appearance fee for finals, right? Probably now a job around about 60. Plenty. It has some artists who would not have been able to make $50,000-$60,000 that night, right? So exactly. So that is probably something that would have helped some artists.
I think that's what they don't want to say it, but it's money. That's all it does. It puts money in artists' pockets. It's an avenue that would allow. Now it's not, as I say, if you reach Soca Monarch final stage, most likely it was hitting and you would have been in Feds getting performances, bookings, whatever, right? Very rare that you would be on that stage in the first place and not have that. But even if you had been having little bookings here and there, you had a tune that was a little bit successful, this would be more money. And this is an industry where, you know, it's a short time to try to have an impact. We're trying to change that now, but essentially it is what it is. It's a short time for you to make. So the more money you could put in your pocket, it is the greater chance that you could survive as an artist to come back next year with, you know, to work with good producers and invest in your career. So that's what it is. It is a way for artists that are not top notch to make money. And if they would just say that, I would have no problem with the arguments. But they keep talking like if it's necessary to develop the culture. In many ways, people could say Soca Monarch hold back the culture because.
Well, all right. So no, before we jump up to the weekend, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were saying that, you know, some of the outside promoters look to Soca Monarch to choose who they would hire. I've heard that with the first place position in Soca Monarch though, with artists from outside. Well, not artists, promoters from outside.
Okay.
Because they want to be able to add that title
right
to the artists when they're bringing them numbers. Right. They didn't necessarily look at Marshall because they couldn't afford Marshall. Right. Yeah. But I've heard people say that too, that, you know, some people look to Soca Monarch to hire.
I don't think anybody, I think that might have been 5-10 years ago when the industry wasn't as integrated as it is now. But you really feel, I mean, you really feel a promoter would have a big dance in Miami Carnival and really feel like I had to put Soca Monarch winner on. Nobody give a shit about that. I mean, the music, that the songs that hitting, you know, and they book based on the crowd response on what the song did. If they come to Trinidad Carnival, or even if they didn't themselves come, you know, they have the connections. What song, what artist was hitting out there? You know what I mean? Especially since for years now, top-notch artists have not been involved in Soca Monarch in the first place. I mean, if you want to say, okay, I think it works more for Trinidad than the other way around.
Right.
So, like, for instance, because, you know, Grenada, St. Vincent, all these small islands, they don't have this dominance like we have, where one artist is, you know, or two artists, however, there's Reiki and everything. So every year, some new name does pop up on the scene, right? Some new name you can't remember, and there's always some weird name, some, you know, they do have simple names, like, you know what I mean? Subans and all them kind of, right. So anyway, so a Trinidad promoter want to book somebody from Grenada. The name mightn't be big. So they could say Grenada Soca Monarch winner. Right? Because unless you went Spice Mass the year before or whatever, you might know that was the big tune in Grenada. But I don't think it works the other way around, where a promoter trying to book a Trinidadian artist. And, well, if you put Soca Monarch, it make a big difference. No.
But I was wondering, is it that even if Soca Monarch should it exist like Young Kings? Where, I mean, Young Kings might be a good example. But where once you win, you can't come back. Or they give you a 2-win quota or 3-win quota. If you win 3 times, you can't come back. Even though I think 3 times is
Listen, we have to decide what we want Soca Monarch to be. Do we want Soca Monarch? Now, I don't believe that it is necessary. It develops any culture. But like you said, people believe it does, right? So is it that that's what we wanted to do? In which case, things like what you're talking about there might be ways to go. You might say, so it could only be a development tool if we don't have one person winning all the time. So you're putting rules like that. Or is it that we want a concert?
Right.
We want something that is not, that is put on, that's not under the control of one artist, like a Kiss Tuesday or a Marshall used to be Monday or whatever, right? We want something like that. We want a show that kind of represents Carnival and is handled by a central authority, not an individual artist. In which case, then we can't have all those things. It has to be the best show. It has to have all the big artists and all the this and all the that. So we have to decide what we want Soca Monarch to be. Is it that's what we want? But I'll say this, Donaldo, I don't think people really care about Soca Monarch that much. I think they just don't like the idea of Marsha's bullying. I think that is what is the people who it's annoying. I think that is what is annoying them. Because you know the reality is that, listen, and I was telling you this the last time we were talking when it was mentioned that in Grenada, you can't know what a show on the night when you're having Soca Monarch or whatever, right? And I was saying to you, dog, we have enough people here where you could have two concerts, two things on the same night. And if Soca Monarch has the appeal that all these people who are angry about it, if they all were to take it themselves and say, well, nah, fuck that, I go in Soca Monarch, then Soca Monarch will make, and so will Marshall's thing, and so will Blue Range, and so look how much events this have on that night, dog.
You remember back in the wrongs when you used to appear on Cooler Fest?
Yeah.
And Pure on Cooler Fest was huge.
Humongous, dog. Was humongous.
And you used to appear on Cooler Fest, you used to is Gale Power. You used to Gale Power that night, right?
Yeah. Blue Range,
Soca Monarch, and other little parties.
Yeah, exactly.
And Soca Monarch still used to do good.
So, and I mean, I will hazard a guess and say that, well, maybe no, because I think the crowd from Marshall has changed over the years. But I don't even know how much the demographic that would be like. Well, whenever Marshall trying to show, I go in. I don't even think that crowd would have been in Soca Monarch anyway. So, what's the big deal? So the reality is that Marshall, if there is a real demand for Soca Monarch, Marshall wouldn't bust it. He can't. You understand what I'm saying? But I think what is annoying people is that he seems to like to do this.
Right. I think that is it. True. Yes. Because I think if small artists,
yes,
right, did it, I don't think people would feel as enraged.
Yeah, yes. If Voice did it, if Voice decided he was going to have Voice Fridays, I don't think anybody would have been angry about it.
Nah, I feel people would have said, you went Soca Monarch 3 times, and then you come in the show. You know, they will feel like they will say like you kind of being ungrateful to Soca Monarch.
Right, okay. I
think him.
Okay. He might be a bad example.
Yeah, but you know, Second Star, Ufan Alves, even probably Kiss.
Or Bungie.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think anybody would have been like irritated. But they have the idea that Marshall like to do this. Like Marshall has a kind of the whole industry revolves around me attitude. And this is just evidence of it. And I think that is what is pissing people off.
Because you saw Orlando Octave post us and pictures.
Yeah. But that's on this.
I know exactly what he is pointing at.
Well, I would assume is his music not being played. Isn't that what every time artists talk about the mafia, that's not what it is when their music not being played?
Well, I'm not too sure. I mean, I comment on it. He didn't reply to the comment. I don't know if he feel like against him in one way or the other.
What you commented?
I asked, like, the Soca Mafia still exists? Like,
right.
When I was in radio, when I was working on radio, when I was managing artists, it wasn't that hard to get music played. If you understand what I'm saying. If the music, I'll be real honest. If the music was mediocre, but you knew people, right? And I'm not talking about heads. You knew DJs.
Yeah.
You could have gotten music played.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and as I say, if the music was mediocre, I'm not talking about, you have a song that bad, and...
But there are some... I think there are people who are blackballed. And I think that there are certain people at radio stations who would say things like, don't play it. You playing that music, don't play that man music. Now, I'm not saying that, they'll fight any and everybody. They might have some person against you, but I think that does happen.
Right. So, and I think that's more of a personal issue than a music mafia.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I think because... I've had that experience working on radio too, where I was told by the person who was running the station time, nah, don't play that person's music. And if you ask why, and they give you the reason why, it was something more, it was something personal. You understand? Between them and the person. I mean, obviously, I didn't listen and get in trouble, right? Because back then, it was one of the biggest songs, right? And me real honest, it was Worthless. Kiss Worthless. And then to another play Kiss. Then. You understand what I'm saying?
Especially that tune.
And people calling for it. Yo. I mean, clearly that was dumb because I ended up without a radio work today. But my thing was, I answered to the people.
Right.
No, I answered to the boss. You should have answered to the boss. But anyhow, right? But so, but in terms of the thing with Marshall, not to share too far.
We'll come to that in a second, because I want to get to that too.
I think, I guess people think that, people have said that he have favor of the quote-unquote mafia, or the alleged mafia. So, I don't know.
Well, that might be. I don't think it had to be a conspiracy. He is the biggest thing in soca music. And I mean, as one thing I always point out, and I've said it on this show before, I think, but I've said it, in off air and to numerous times and to numerous people. If I don't agree with, advantage thing and throwing your weight around in the industry, but if anybody deserves to be able to do that, it's him. He is the embodiment of soca. All these other artists, as you could get as vexed as they want, he wasn't always singing soca.
I can't say all, man. Not all.
Honestly, of the top-notch ones, dog, of all of them who trying to...
I find you seeing top-notch and like, forgetting out voices are top-notch artists. I find...
I really mean older ones, right? Older ones. I didn't really class him in that.
Because he had a class voice.
No, I know he's top-notch.
I say he had a class him with the big boys now,
Right, yes. But I really meant the one... Marshall's contemporaries is what I mean, right? None of them, none. All they used to want to either sing R&B or some version of dancehall or raga, soca or whatever. You know what I'm saying? When I first hear you wasn't trying to be this. No disrespect to anybody, but Lyrical, Bungie, Destra, all of y'all wanted to be something else first. Show in Winchester and all.
Serious?
Yeah, R&B was his thing. And when those things didn't work out, somebody hold you and tell you had talent, I could mold you into this, and then you take, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying you don't like soca, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a part of the industry, but I'm saying when a man singing soca since he's 6 years old, bro, or 7 or however old he was, on a stage and never sing nothing else done. Never trying nothing else. Wasn't trying to be Jamaican, wasn't trying to be American, wasn't trying to be nothing else but that. You can't vex when he running the show. You understand what I'm saying? When you grow up with your other desires and your other, other callings, and come to the soca party late, you can't get vexed at the man who was there first running the show. So, I mean, but I do agree with I don't like throwing your weight around the industry, but I just pointing out that if anybody had the right to work for the right to be able to do that, it's him. I personally just find we should, at some stage, this man is nearly 50 years old, dog. Why Marshall concert should still be bossing anything? I don't have a problem with Marshall, but what is wrong with the art form when this man could still be
I think
the be all and end all? Like,
because you know it like so if this might sound like I'm making Marshall song bad, right? But I think it like KFC. Like, don't matter what you do and how you feel about KFC and the bad attitude from the workers, you kind of always know where you're going to get. The taste don't vary, it don't be that off.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And I think, so when you're buying KFC, you know what you're going to get.
Right.
I think it's the same thing with Marshall. When I go on Marshall concert, I know I'm going to get his best. If you understand what I'm saying. His best performance, he's going to try his hardest. The best lights, the best screens, the best, the whole production is going to be pretty good. And nobody else is doing. Yeah, but nobody, think about it. He has the best production right now And nobody else is competing.
Okay, maybe I'm speaking as somebody who don't really like to see soca performances, right? And I people always fight me down for that. I was one of them people who hate. I don't like to see live bands. I don't think it adds anything to my time at a fete. I think it distracts from the fete when people start to watch the stage. Because I just find soca is an art form where you add very little. Now, I know to people, live bands are a big deal, and some people, and because so many people feel like the presence of the band has hyped them. Okay, I don't get vexed that the vibe might turn up, but I don't care what's going on the stage.
You're on the jam.
Not just jam, but it's just what am I going to look up at the stage for you to do? To who, anybody from here, anybody from there, bring a girl up on the stage, wine, sing, like what are you adding to the, and people might probably ask if that's the case for most performances, and maybe that's true, because I don't really like concerts in general. That's another thing. There are very few artists that I will go to see live, very, very few. And most of them that I will go to see live, I would admit, the stage performance ain't that big. I just like them so much that I just like the atmosphere of being there when they're singing live. But I don't really like to see performances, right? But I've only gone to Marshall's concert maybe twice in my life. I think I only remember it once, but I feel like I went more than once, right? And I didn't see anything special. I just saw a bunch of international artists come on, and there was no... Okay, like Usher gives you production value.
Yeah, but we talk much on that. That's it.
But all of them to me is the same thing. If it's soca, we talking about a man just coming and singing and jump, wave. Where's the big deal? Because you have lights and
the screens and whatever. So as I say, if that is not interesting to you,
soca man not doing that now,
right?
Soca man not doing that now.
Yeah, but they still had the kind of screen work and thing that Marshall had. The last couple of Marshall Mondays, dog, that screen work was fantastic, dog.
Well, I didn't go to see. Yeah. Okay, maybe. I don't know, but
no. The thing is, as I say, if boys on the stage really while you, it has some people watching like, wait, no, obviously it's not the level of an Usher or plenty of the international acts. But it's one of the best that it have here. Like, for instance...
But we ain't fill up on that now. Like, we ain't done. Like...
No, but he does always change up and raise the bar a little bit. And hopefully one day, probably when each was 65, it will be on the level of Usher or one of them. Or Kanye or something.
I don't know that people really go to this thing for no big production value, bro. I think... In fact, I now remember the one that I went and stayed for a long time, because I remember I went to two and one I left very quickly, and the other one I went and I stayed for a long time. I remember that was the time when whoever year Lyrical sang Cloud9. That's the year I went, and I found that show was awful. I found it was poorly put together. It didn't really tell a story. It was supposed to tell a story, but you couldn't understand the story. That is, he stopped at time and was playing a guitar and singing off key for like 10 minutes. And like, what am I? It was not top notch. The greatest show put together. That is nonsense. You know what I mean? At least that time I went, wasn't anything like, oh my God, wow, the production value here was on, all it was, there was a lot of international acts. Fine.
And I mean, as I say, I've been, I'm not going to say on record, but I've been on radio, rapping with Marshall, bringing all the time when they bring all the dancehall artists and them to sing and had this big dancehall session. Not necessarily with artists who we sang with or not artists we sang songs with. I was one of the people on radio. I was like, talk like, why are you doing that? The calling going sting. Right? I mean, they play soca.
Nobody going sting, apparently.
They play soca and sting, apparently, last thing there. Right? That caused a kerfuffle, but they didn't invite him to this thing. They didn't invite him to Rebel Salute.
Right.
So, and I'm not trying to say... I'm not trying to say that we should have a...
They probably might invite them next time.
That is what it might really be, yes. You understand? But that is probably what it might really be.
Well, we go talk about... We'll get to that in a second.
But yeah. So I remember having an issue with that and whatnot, but then who it is they leave out by? I remember they had Jumby Sonny Bling in the Marshall. When you sing the doubles and he used to run
Yeah.
And the jump him, that was a bacchanal. But it had somebody.
I think that was the year I went. I think that.
Yeah, it had a year, somebody had a big song and there's watching Marshall and leave them out now. So, but as I say,
you know, people say, "Oh, I go there because I see all the acts." But why? Like, I really need to see Charles Marshall and Irfan Al. Like, I come in there because I get to see Irfan Al. Like, I care about. I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect these artists. You know, their music is good, but well, in the case of Irfan Al, it's more so than Charles Marshall. But you know, this is not to degrade the music. It's just really, is that what you're telling me? That is why you must go Marshall, because you get to see them. And come now, man, be real. But
I never had any care or concern in seeing any of them, to be very, very honest with you.
I think what it is, I just think is Marshall is a brand that has become, you know, a staple, and so people just, whether they really feel so or not, they act like if this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. When I would love to see Trinidad and Tobago, again, I have nothing against him. I just tell you how much he deserves, you know, pips. But dog, the man is nearly 50. He's like 2 or 3 years away from 50. And he's been doing this thing, like I just said, since he was 7. We ain't fed up yet. Like, we can't say...
Let me see, I'll tell you. Yeah, because 40 years are doing it, so yeah. So it could be over 47.
Somewhere there.
Somewhere
there.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Oh God, dog, he's still doing this thing to the point where he throw a concert on a night and he busting thing. But if he doing that, then your thing really shouldn't exist anymore, bro. Because oh God, dog, I really find at this stage it says something. And some people might say it says something about him, how good he is, how versatile he is. But I think it says more about Soca when he's still at the Soca in Trinidad, where he is still such a focal point, because you know you go Grenada and it's artists like Talpri and Lava Man and when I say but stalwarts, right?
Well, like Natty and Thunder is call them Wasways.
Right, together. No, but them now come. I talking about like Lava Man and Talpri, right? Who have a kind of a statesman kind of reputation in the music over there, but them not like not Marshall, you know, where you know them throw a concert and they go bust everything else. No, it's not like that. It's just if them fellas come good, they come good, and because of the respect people have for them in the industry, they will always have a place for them. In, you know, even if their song ain't hitting so much, they will still get airplay. But it's not like them still the lords and you know. God, so the fact that we still have this situation here, somebody had to. So that's all. Like, why are we still here? Why we that to me, as I said, it says more about our industry than it does about his greatness.
Well, I guess I could understand what you're saying, and I think one of the things we face with here is that a lot of the times, and I said this for years, also, a lot of DJs just be like waiting for the Marshall, waiting for the Marshall song.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can say what they want, but plenty of people are waiting for Marshall dropping.
Right.
It is always here them now.
Yeah.
We waiting for the Marshall, and somebody drop a power song and it's so bad.
Yeah.
And then it's bad, but waiting for the Marshall. Like, oh God, like, and so probably the DJs here helping to
enforce
but kill. You know, the other artists and the culture here.
Right.
Because, as they say in Grenada and them places, your song go to us, your song go get played.
Your song
right? Yeah. And nobody in trying to, when your song released, nobody in waiting for the, we're waiting for the Lava Man boy. We're waiting for the Killer boy. We're waiting for the, you understand?
Nah. And if Laye Talpri tune is not the biggest or Lava Man tune is not the biggest, well, I think go get the most forward. Whoever tune is the biggest, go get the most forward. But Talpri go still come on the stage and match up the play. And Lava Man go still match up the. You understand what I'm saying? But this reverence of one man, I just do understand it. But, and this could take us into the next thing I wanted to talk about, because I mentioned it before in terms of we go get to it, Laka music. No, not to say Marshall have hits. I haven't heard anything impressive from Marshall either.
Yeah, but someone on the Spirit, something with him, boy. The Spirit
Carnival
project.
Spirit or
The Spirit project with him.
The Spirit is the name of it,
Was that the song? I don't know the name of the song, but
I hear something like the Carnival spirit or something like that.
Yeah, that song nice, boy.
All right, the rhythm nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know about the tune. But I haven't heard anything very impressive from him, right?
Mm.
But the point I was going to make was that maybe the reason he's so revered is because the rest of the industry just falling down. I have heard nothing impressive. I've heard good music. I've heard decent songs. I haven't heard nothing that has made me feel like, nah, boy, dog, boy, I had to come out on that road. I had to go somewhere because me and Lime, when I say Lime, party since 2020, bro. The last event I went to was Juve 2020, right? So I have a lot of pent up energy, right? And I was studying boy thing. I had to put some things in place this Carnival. I had to run all day. And brother man, is the 10th of January, and nothing in moved me to buy a fat ticket, to buy a Juve costume. No push me to buy a Carnival costume. Like mad people think. But
the only thing that could move me to buy a fat ticket is my wife, first of all.
Right, but you're old man. You're super duper lame.
But what I would tell you though, you see Kes Mental Day? I hear that song and felt like again at the banker for the industry. Not a party, but again at the banker for playing music, because I could picture building a dread vibe, whether it be on radio, whether it be in a party, whether it be on the road, playing that song and busting some dread argument and building a dread vibe to that song. That's the one that hit me. A song that that's the one that
I find so much of that music song generic. I find so much of the groovy soca this year song in real.
You know who else kind of get me excited or got me excited? The bungee. What is this? Something. The bungee, the fast bungee.
It's two of them. There's one of the stranger things with him, and then that one something fat, hard fat.
Yeah, hard fat. Yeah. That hard fat. I'm like, ooh boy, yes boy.
But and I think the only things that song an interesting song like we need that music, you know. The only things that element rhythm, the
Saki and Talpri on the element rhythm, I could see in a party. Yeah.
I think that whole rhythm will mash up in dance. But it just sounded like they're bringing job music. It's just really, even the Fayan, Get Low or whatever, it's just job music, right? I'm not hearing anything like stage.
Right.
Like stage
mashup, whatever.
Stage going mad or stage not good again or whatever, right? Right. I hear nothing like that. Nothing uniquely Trinidadian where
or Soca Kingdom.
Right. Nothing like that. Nothing.
You got time for that going, dog. His job is the way forward.
No, but the thing is, job being the way forward is not the problem, you know. But you can't do job like them, right? And Bungie is probably the best at it, but it don't have the same vibe. Even a hard fit, it's on the rhythm. It's on that kind of rhythm, trying to bring that kind of vibe, but it's not there. And I still think that it wasn't long ago that we had that Marshall and that Iwan and Kes. You understand what I'm saying? Is it that this 3 years just make all you forget how to make music or forget how to? Because I just and to be fair, I'll be honest, I didn't really like much of the music for Grenada Carnival last year either. I find that and all sounded like it was missing something. So is it that the hiatus, the producers don't know what to do or what it is?
I think definitely hiatus affected the vibe, because I mean, being outside, I think would influence, you know, your creativity in one way or the other.
Yeah.
And I think being inside doesn't help.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we had to pay attention to, because normally us coming out of Grenada Carnival, we don't have 4 or 5 big tunes from Grenada here.
Yeah.
Right? You ain't really,
Nothing.
yeah.
It's like, there's normally when we singing shit, you can say, boy, all the big tune on them coming from the small islands.
Right, and if not Grenada, you're guaranteed to get something from
St.
Barbados.
Vincent or St. Vincent.
Or Barbados, because, I mean, Barbados might get power.
Yeah.
You get some jet whining tune.
A whining tune, yeah.
You get some jet whining tune.
Yeah.
You understand? But, I mean, so probably we need to come out and go through whatever we have to go through. You know who real mashing up to, boy? Who are real tune out there too?
Ding dong.
Yeah, boy.
And none of them might find that good enough.
Nah, the drink and party is a vibe. I mean, it's not a power song, but is one of them. What is called that, boy? You know them kind of real sing along happy jolly songs that you will get in fit and it will always get a reaction. Yeah,
but it's still missing something. You know, all right, I just thought of it there just now. The first time I heard the Long Live Soca, I messaged Jarrell and I say, Dan, I feel like getting older because I want to go Panorama now. I want to go Panorama.
Yeah, I fancy for neighbor.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. I want to go Panorama now. Because that tune, you know me, dog. I'm not Pan fan. As a matter of fact, I always say I hate to hear 300 Pan beating anything at least. Well, not 300. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just find I could listen to a man play Pan or a couple men playing a song on a Pan, but to hear all them steel drum beating at the same time, it just sounds like noise to me, right? I want to go. That's the only thing I get a vibe to go. Panorama, because I want to hear bands beat the living daylights out of that song. I haven't heard any song give me that same feeling for a fet. Not one.
The thing is, here what I think, right? I think Voice is an artist that we had to pay real close attention to. I think what Voice is doing right now is building his repertoire in a way and touching on everything.
Yeah.
So I think he might be the artist to fill Marshall's position eventually. Right. I mean, he's young.
But he don't have the stage presence though and energy.
Well, hopefully time. Yeah. We hoping, in time, right? I mean, and the zeal and the want to actually fill our shoes, properly. Right,
yeah, I don't think he had the power element in him. I don't think he have it. Like you're saying, he could develop it. But I think by now we just see it. I don't think he have. I think his niche is melodic soca, and every time he try to make a little foray into the power, he does always. He's hardly do it by himself, and when he does it with when he does a collab, he sounds like the weak link on the collab. So I'm not sure that he could do that, but I feel where you're going.
Yeah. So I think. I watching, I mean, because no matter what you say or how you feel about Voice, every year he puts out quality music. Yeah. So, I don't know, but you must tell me that he had a song that, I found song good. I just can't remember the damn name of the song.
Long Live Soca.
Yeah, Long Live Soca, right? Yeah. You know who song have a little vibe to, boy? Trinidad Killer, boy.
Yeah. Which one?
I think most of them. Well, not the Liquon and Pigtail thing.
The Weatherman tune bad.
Yeah, and the
next one.
And we you forget how to lie, Mawa.
Yeah.
We go in right on.
That on the same rhythm as the tempo.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That bad. And to be fair, the young brother have a song on that rhythm too that decent. So you always talk about them artists making the crossover. Some of them doing it the right way. And to be fair, Trinidad Killer was there first before he come. He went to Zest. Yeah. He was a soca artist first before he went to Zest. So some of them doing it the right way. I've heard that many of them not, but I don't listen to them shit. So the ones I've heard so far, they ain't songing too bad.
Tempa is I think she handled pretty well with the soca song, and based on conversations I've been having, she is open to learning and but apparently I found out this today that Tempa is just a person who really loves music and Zest only come about because she's a DJ and the cool thing was chanting on a rhythm now, boy. And that's how she kind of get tied up in that. Well, not tied up, I don't want to say tied, but that's how she got involved in that. You understand what I'm saying? But generally, she just love music, right? And she used to play music. She's a DJ or a MC, and chanting on the rhythm. And then that was the cool thing. And then, hey, tracks have to make with that. But what the person was telling me, who apparently know her from years before, or not know her personally, but know of her and her circles or whatever. It's like, that person is just a genuine music lover now.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But I think the hiatus didn't help. I also think that, people are saying this was really the mother of all carnivals. I think that would necessarily be true. I think because we have a lot of things to fix. And I think Trinidadians are people, we don't come together to do things. If we were coming together to go forward with this carnival season, great. But people are going to try to outcompete the next man and push out the next man. And because I had to make this time, this Immortal Carnival, I had to make my money this wrong. And I think we will see some infighting. I'm hearing some bacchanal about the about Jean-Pierre complex. I've never heard about that.
Yeah.
With them saying they didn't want to get them for the Soca drum.
But they earmark the Jean-Pierre complex for to be destroyed a while now.
Yeah, but the thing is, if January the 10th, he didn't do it yet, right? I think we could get them to buy with the Soca drum for two reasons. One, that is definitely ease up the congestion with the masqueraders on the road. And I mean, let me see what we could do now, boy. Because if this was really mother of all carnivals,
they make concessions.
Yeah,
they do everything we could to make it
help
memorable.
Make it, yeah,
right. True,
right.
True.
Because Jude, I can tell you, us before that Soca drum thing hit, was at that time you spent 4 hours on Charlotte Street,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And an hour and a half out of that 4 hours not playing music because we were by the hospital.
Yeah.
Also, there's trucks lined up by the hospital, can't play no music. That could be a real shitty experience, You understand what I'm saying? And I mean, we don't want to return to places like that now, boy. So,
I think that it should have been the mother of all carnivals. I think it should have been something that touched every fete lover in Trinidadian, right? It should not be people like me who, I mean, I'm not a fete lover. Let me not lie, right? I'm not like must fete. But I have a kind of must hit something, 1 or 2 or whatever, right? But it should not be people like me who like, nah, boy, dog, boy. So right now, no, but you ain't moving me to come out,
But do you think though, a part of that could be because we are so dependent on this year's music that it could have that effect on you, if you understand what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying in the sense that if Carnival wasn't seasonal and you could just play any music, and it could build any song, any music that could be playing on the radio.
And the thing is, I'm not talking about like, when I say any music, I'm talking about different genres. I mean,
Soca from other years.
Other years.
Yeah.
Beating on the radio right now. You don't think it could get in?
Yes. It probably would. No, I don't listen to radio.
Right.
That's the thing. But what would normally happen? Because I don't listen to radio at all generally, right? But what would normally happen by now is the tune or the tunes that have potential would have reached to me. Somebody would have posted about it. Somebody would have sent it to me. Done this thing. I would have listened to it and be like, "Way boy, dog, way." Like Soca Kingdom. If like when Chow dropped the little snippet, and the whole world went mad. And then the day they dropped the song, you listen like, nah, dog.
See that we got Chow distracted, boy. Chow looking to do with this. Some food place on the avenue on the track you do it. Chow, dog, man waiting for the snippets, boy. Anthony chowing on. What are you doing? The man is waiting for snippets.
I do have to come from here. I just need music. I need something that when I hear it is like, nah, boy, dog, nah. I had to and listen, it don't have to be power, because the year I heard Kessan voice, that song just that, you see, when you talk about things like the drink and party and the Kes and them is groovy tunes, and I know you're saying it have a little vibe to it, but it's not like Kessan voice, dog. That is what it's missing. It's missing that kind of tune. It could be slow, it could be fast, it could be whatever, but something when you hear like, nah, boy, dog, boy, that I want to be amongst 500, 600, 700 other people, you know, in a space experiencing this tune. I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing nothing coming out that made me like, yeah, boy, dog, boy. I had to go out there and had to jump out myself. But we were talking earlier about Soca Mafia and people feeling like the tune again forward and all that. We saw Yosemite link the video with Mr. Famous, you know, talk about Orlando Octave. And as Mr. Famous was saying in the video, he said people talk about Turner, but I just see Turner talking about Turner.
Nah, honestly, I really people talk about Turner. Honestly.
No, I ain't saying no.
For whatever reason, yeah.
I ain't saying no, but it probably has to do because like, Turner is always talking about Turner, right? About him getting fight, right? When you sent me the video with Mr. Famous, right? I must say I haven't thought about him since in a gazillion years, right? But I really lose respect for artists when they jump immediately there, right? When they jump to again fight, right? I respect Orlando Octave. So if what he was posting was with regards to himself, again, I would say, gosh, boy, dog, boy, why we had to reach there first?
Well, the thing is, I think he would say that it was clear because he was talking to Tommy Schmooder on a live, right? And Tommy Schmooder, based on the video they put out, it kind of alluded to they were being told stay away from.
But that was during the COVID thing, right?
Right, but we don't know if feelings change. If you understand what I'm saying, because remember, not all his music was talking about that COVID thing.
Right.
But everything was being played.
But all his music wasn't doing that, but he was doing that. Right. And so it would have been given forward to a man at a time who was pushing against, a particular narrative, right?
But you see, in him pushing a particular narrative, he might have spoken ill, for lack of better words, about particular radio stations and or the managers of particular radio stations. And man had that in their heart. So
he did?
Well, yeah, because he talk about that particular radio station and they pushing the they pushing the initiative.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And so man,
I can't remember if he actually talked about it. But yes, okay. Yeah. But then that's just one network. Right. Why the others would fight you?
Well, boy. Well, the thing is, I don't know if he talk about the other networks, but in the conversation,
but the other networks was doing that. I don't think the other networks
were not as hard as
that squad.
Yeah.
So I don't know, why would the others fight you? One of the things that's get me real upset with artists is upset me because I feel like I shouldn't be the one telling all of this. Right? Why I never sing a song in my life.
I disagree with you there, though.
Oh, what do you mean?
Because I know, but believe it or not, you're the person to tell them. Because they are very much blinded in their situations.
Right. And I know that's why they don't see it, but it has upset me because if I played in the NBA for years, right, I would feel very offended if you came to tell me about what it takes to become a professional basketballer, right? If you were to tell me about what goes into becoming a star.
But the difference is, in the NBA, you're playing to score points or whatever. In this, you're making music for you. If you understand, they're making music for you. So they should be more open to hearing from you.
Right. But, okay, let me say what I'm saying and you'll understand what I mean, right? But what I don't understand with artists is that they seem to have this real infantile understanding of how the industry operates. And from the perspective of the sense of entitlement that they all display, it makes me wonder, do you know how hard it is to become a successful artist? Like, how hard it is to get a hit song? And then to do it again, and then to do it again and again. Why you feel as if once you make music that you find good, that is the only ingredient for you to be out there making money, making a living as an artist? Like, stop and survey the whole industry. You ain't, okay, you might be talented, but you ain't that talented, right? There have 1 million people who could sing on a beat, 1 million people could write a clever song, 1 million people could, you know what I'm saying? So when you make it to the front of that line, dog, you should already consider yourself as, I blessed. And then if you get to the front of that line where people could hear you and it could get big and get bookings and whatever, for you to repeat that and repeat that and repeat that. Look how much extremely talented people, big all they make one album and you never hear about them again, bro. Why you feel this thing is, well, the music good, so I should be hitting every time I bring out music, I should be hitting. And every time I'm not hitting, it's not because something wrong with me or something, or my timing off, or I just bad lucky, is because the industry fighting me. Why? Why does kind of like stop and take stock and say, hey, wait. This thing is not 1 + 1, you know. No, for some people it's 1 + 1, but even for them, like Drake, Marshall, I don't mean they're on the same level, but I mean in terms of
understand, the
influence.
They possibly have. They could probably by now they have a remedy, or they have a
formula. I mean.
A formula,
right? But more than a formula, more important than the formula is that they have, number one, a track record, and they have the connections, right? They have leverage because they are so big as artists that if you do, unlike an artist who needs the DJs and the production managers and so on, what's called them again?
The program directors.
Program directors, right? Who need them. Artists that need them more than they need the artists. Drake and they are different. They could, you don't want to play me, bro, then I still big, you know. I could, anything your station promoting, I could not be there. I could take artists that on my label away from you, deny you access to that. So they have leverage. All of those things, they have a huge brand that's built up over years and years and years and years of consistent hit making. So they have leverage. But other than them, everybody else had to fight. And every song you make that hit, bro, you had to thank the lucky stars that you get there. It's not that easy. It's not 1 + 1. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I mean,
I should have to tell an artist that. That's what is getting me vexed. Why you can't see that?
I mean, he wants on the whole, but Trini is real low like accountability. You know that, right? And it's always somebody else's fault. Right?
Yeah.
And then the next problem is the people who just be on the side gassing them now, but you know what I'm saying? And that, I mean, you know that I manage artists, and I've been in studio with artists, and sometimes I go to the studio with my artists, and a man there singing a shit song, and everybody in the studio, yeah boy, take, there's this here boy. And I like, and at that times when if the artist cool enough, I'll be like, well, you see that song? That's the song to go. That one is the one that would reach. And I don't want to put any artist on blast, but there was an artist who had about 3 songs a year, and it had one of them had a kind of EDM style to it, but he didn't want to push that. I was like, nah, that's the one I'll hit this year, right? And me saying that is because the next 2 was kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? I just told people it would not connect. Yeah. And he tried to start over with the others, and it didn't catch. And then he hit that one, and he did pretty well that year. He got bookings and whatnot, right? And well, for me, I'm not a yes man now, and that's why me and plenty artists has followed me, and plenty people has followed. Even as we can radio, I tell artists, and I tell them when I interview, nah, but the song ain't really hitting. You know what I'm saying? And people is arguing, you ain't fighting. I said, dog, I big and I could fight. So if they ain't like that and they want to fight, we go fight. But and that's our next big part of the problem. Any friends and your family gassing you, that's one. 2, you don't take accountability, because taking accountability means, hey boy, I really do shit this song, or this song really did make it. And then I think what has happened, boy, I think you see, when you catch with a song and you make the money and the little fame and people call on your phone, especially when you go through that too early in your career, meaning that you didn't go through the struggles and build.
Yeah.
That is kind of, they just go kind of mad, you know, though. I tell you, like, I mean, that's an artist, I call them, it's an artist that, dog, I would say, I was the first person to play the music on radio, dog. You understand what I'm saying? In some situations, I was the first person to interview them, dog. And I call them, and they tell me some kind of price And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You being for real?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then the next year, they didn't catch.
And the vaccine calling them.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it have a lot of weirdnesses going in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll fix. I think, and the next thing is, oh God, DJs, oh God, somebody organize an interview or whatever the case may be, and the artist come and the artist will come and they'll go hype up the artist in the interview.
Yeah.
Right? Me also, I want to hear a song before because I'm not going on bullshit here. I'm not putting it you down, boy.
Yeah.
Bring you on the interview. Oh God, baby, let's up, big tune, and then it's not that good, so you're not playing it. You understand what I'm saying? And then the artist leaves the radio station with a kind of, all right.
But my thing is, oh God, them know the game. They know the game. You feel they don't know that? You feel they don't know that, you know, your manager organizes this interview. Sometimes you pay for the interview, right? If Blue Waters pay for a sponsored segment, sponsored 15 minutes or a half an hour during your radio program, right? And they send a representative from Blue Waters to sit down there and talk about Blue Waters water. You, as the presenter, will act like Blue Waters water is the best water since water existed, right? Because they paid for that half an hour, and that's your job. Even if the artist in these instances didn't pay, the job of the presenter is to present a good show. And sometimes, in them instances, the people listening not really listening for like a Charlemagne type interview, right? They just kind of want to hear the artist's music and keep it moving, right? So it's not your time. It's not you. You's not the A&D, the A&R. Sorry, you're not the. It's not your role at this stage. Cause you might not go on and cut it tune, you know. You know what I mean? So it's not your. That might have been valuable when he was in the studio with the producer producing his shit. But now he produces shit. You telling him his shit that ain't really helping, you know. So I don't have a problem with that. But they know that. They know that, you know, because it's not like if when they done the interview, the DJ does thing and boy, the presenter now just be like, hey, thing, I have a thing, I feel I go get. No, the DJ just be like, yeah, later. So you know it's not a friend. They're your friend. And you know they whether they really like your music or not, you ain't already know. Right? So my thing is, I think it's just quite simply, you hit the nail on the head, lack of accountability, and people like to tell themselves the story that makes them feel as comfortable as possible. You know, because when you send that Mr. Famous video, right? I went on because I haven't been listening, as I say, I hadn't thought of him since, you know, Play More Local, right? And he say, yeah, real tune, you feel the mean tune, a real tune. I wouldn't say I went and find all, but I would say I found maybe 6 or 7 on YouTube. They weren't shit, right? But none of them was monsters. So if they were monsters, I could kind of hear you feeling like, understand you feeling like, well, this was real bad. You know, no gas thing, but I find it bad, and plenty of people find it bad, and everybody hear this. Now, that tune, how that one didn't hit? I didn't find any of them like that. So all of them was borderline tune. And the thing is, when you're not Drake and Marshall, and you can't really afford borderline tunes.
Listen, I understand that and I agree with that to some extent. However, what I have been saying for a while, and I don't know if the DJs might be kind of guilty in not helping this week. Horse, if it's not a monster artist, start to release your borderline tune on them in March now, boy. In April, March.
Let them build.
Right? Let them build. Let them see if they catch.
Yeah.
And don't release one song. But the people don't know, dog. Vibes Cartel used to release 5 to 9 songs a week.
Yeah.
A week.
Yeah.
And not all used to get big.
And still doing that to some extent, though.
Right? And not all used to get big. Not all were monsters.
Yeah.
But one, you perfect your craft every time you go in the studio. 2,
your voice out there,
right?
You're getting recognition,
and then your
voice recognition.
You're playing the game of numbers.
The
more you put out something, okay.
You're pelting a bunch of darts at the board. Yeah. One of them must be the target,
right?
Yeah.
And so I think that is important.
Yeah.
But as I say, I think one of the things that might have happened with Mr. Famous, I think I interviewed him though. I think one of the things that happened with him was that was a real big blow up. Like
it had to follow up.
Yeah, and it had to follow up. And I mean that's human, especially with our culture, it is it's year by year we just look at. So if you ain't nothing to like that the next year, we cannot forget you now, boy. And the worst is if the second year after that, you ain't coming nothing like the first one. Well, yeah, boy.
Right, and the reason why I say your mediocre tunes, you can't afford mediocre tunes, right? Is because a mediocre tune could, and this is what is always see. But Marshall have a mediocre tune, yes. And now the fella who's not a big name artist, he tuned mediocre too, and he get big. Yes, that might be true. But when you're mediocre, you depend on luck. Last year they might have like you, but this year somebody else kind of take that space. The person, the kind of unknown artist who come from nowhere, who have a decent tune, somebody else this year. And now I could forget about you because you didn't release if you released a monster, I couldn't ignore you. But you release a tune, so anybody could fit in our mix, and you could. That is when you depend on luck of the draw. If you consistently release monsters, bro, then they can't ignore you. But when you release a monster and then bush tune and bush tune and bush tune and bush tune and bush tune, and I say in bush tune, I ain't trying to disrespect nobody, but I just say tunes that they could play in the mix and they don't stand out.
Let's be real, dog. We had to start to admit it. Have filler tunes, and have monsters,
right? Yes,
you understand what I'm saying? It have fillers, and we ain't talking about the space or the tempo of the tunes.
Yeah.
It has some tunes that are fillers, and we on radio we just play them. Right?
Yeah. Because when the soca switch takes place, or only soca, and you had to basically focus on that year, all kind of things just get played.
Right?
Yeah.
So we had to fill. Some songs, the thing is, if you not popular, dog, we not going to dig for a filler from you just so.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people, let's forget this, you know. A DJs are human. And a DJ, next thing, out of sight, out of mind, your social media presence. You understand? Your presence. So, when you scroll through a folder, right? Good welcome for something to play. Good Terry Lions, boy. Or, I'm just saying, names you're accustomed to, names who have been around. Hey, boy. And that's how it is operated.
Because you don't want people to turn off. You don't want people, if you're in a fete, you don't want nobody be like, oh God, this is boring. If you're on radio, you don't want to be switchy station. So, if you're not, it's not my job to be your hype man. Right? If you not working on building your own brand, so that at least when you drop, your fan base is so rabid that they make me play the music. You know what I mean? Your fan base is so, you have done such a good job of crafting your brand and building your fan base that when you release music, bro, if the radio ignoring it, they will let people know that, hey, it had this tune out there that is monstrous, and the radio not playing it. And we will see that.
You know what happened with, and I mean, it was a good song, but I think when Voice came out with that winner song the first time, there was a point in time, and I'm not going to get into the politics, and people who will know, right? There's a point in time that songs had to slow down in airplay, right? But people requested it. People were requesting it, so they had no choice
but to play it. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
And if that is because Voice made a connection with his fans, or it's just because the music had made such a connection, was organically built, whichever one, the point is, it worked, right? And if you're not doing that, and you're just depending on, well, every year, I'm going and do a thing, and I'm going and throw it out there and see if it catch, then though, and to some extent, as we mentioned, I think maybe that's what Turner has. Maybe Turner has that fan base that is, rabid.
Right.
And they're the ones who talking about why Turner again fight, right? And if that is the case, credit to him, right? That he's doing what he's supposed to do.
And I really think I want to go and look out for his music, though. I mean, he's a person I want to sit down and have a conversation with bad, because, I mean, after his rise, I mean, he lost his daughter. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yeah, I think she's about 2 years old. And Turner has not been the same Turner since. And nobody who's around him seems to want to, have that conversation with him, if you understand what I'm saying. Or whether it is he needs to go and get therapy or anything like that. You understand?
Well, I know he's been working a lot with a virgin of mine, producer based out in Maryland. Big up Kieran. I didn't really bother to talk to him before this.
Yeah.
But that's how I keep up with his music, because he sent it to me, right? I haven't heard anything that was too hard to ignore.
Yeah.
I'd be real with you, I haven't heard anything that was.
Well, no, I tell you, because when he started on his rise, after the second, because he had about two years hard, good. And just after that second year, like later on out of the season, he lost his daughter. And I mean, some people who are close to him, it real hurt him.
It must fuck you up though, is it?
Yeah. And especially when the child has some age already, you understand what I'm saying? You would have done build a connection.
You know what happened to the child?
I think it was like some sickness or something, right? And Turner has not been the same since.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? And yeah, he might try to put on a brave face and come out here and do what he had to do, and at the end of the day, this is how he's kind of make his living now. And but I think sometimes if you don't adjust that way, you understand them deep things inside, I think you mightn't be able to execute the same way with their music or even write or
well, I think he's one of them with actual talent, like
I think so too. I think
talent.
so too.
So I think he could get it right. He's like, in a way, kind of like people like Cohen Dubois and to some extent I'll put lyrical there too. Artists who, because they had talent, 2-3 years could pass and then they could catch. Because they're actually good. You know what I mean? I want to call names, but there are plenty of people in the industry who ain't good. Right? They're leveraging their fame in other ways to make music and, do what you have to do. To make money. I have no problem with it. But when when their stars fade, you don't expect them to rise again because they're not really musically that talented now, boy. They're just a little famous. They leverage that fame to make a little career, and then that is that. But people like Turner, people like Ola, huh?
I don't know.
What is it?
Just give yourself a Lord. Yeah.
People like Ola, he's an next one. Talent, like, whoa. You know what I mean? And another one, as you're talking about people who was doing soca, he was one of them. Yeah. I don't think he should ever be doing anything about it. But Kaiso/Soca, right? He was never on no other train, to be fair to him. So he's one of them we could mention.
Probably second star too, Because second star was Kaiso.
True. But I don't put him up on that.
Not yet, yeah.
Yeah, right? But yeah, Ola is the next one, I think, who has a whole heap of talent. So you could go 5-10 years without hearing Ola, and he could just come and he could hit you a monster because bad, right? So I think Turner is one of them. So he might, however fight the field again. No, I just think once you stick to it, once you invest in your career, and the thing is, I know it's soca, it's tough. That's why people clamoring for things like soca, man, because any little thing to put money in your pocket so you can ride out the poor seasons. You know what I mean? But if he find a way, I think he could catch again.
But first I'll tell any artist, work on yourself first, by the way. Work on yourself first, and then because working on yourself helps you get self-awareness. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, any artist, I think it's important to work on yourself first. Because it's one thing they could never is Marshall confidence, though. If you understand what I'm saying. And his confidence in that. He is doing the right thing with music. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He is doing what people would like.
Yeah, and not just that, he had a lot because people forget there were tough years for him. There were years when songs wasn't hitting and people was calling him a shit on. You know what I mean? A few years, I remember a few years before Big Truck, he had some years where...
Yeah, well, I mean, Big Truck was the explosion of Marshall.
And just before that, there were times when people were saying, boy, that man is shit. You know what I mean? So, but he stuck with it because he probably always had the confidence that this was what he was put on this earth to do. To perform and to perform this. Not to do nothing else.
And probably not anybody fighting him. Probably not that too. Probably,
right.
probably
when he don't make
Yeah.
what I doing wrong, what I doing wrong, why people not, what he ban, how we could, which is probably why people say he's such a difficult person to work with in terms of when or the kind of perfection he demands from the people around him, because he doesn't blame the audience. He doesn't say, well, hey, the audience, I should be able to come out there and sing whatever I want and the audience like it. No, he was looking at how I could improve the show, how I could improve this, how I could. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, the head there. And I mean, before we move on to the next thing, no disrespect to Orlando, but if that comment was specifically about again, when soca is something is just touching and touch out. You know what I mean? Now, to be fair, you could say it don't matter how, if I'm singing good music, I sing, because he has a ton of hit soca songs, right? And he's another very talented fella. So wherever he could craft, he could use his pen and craft wherever he want, right? And his voice and his talent and so on. So he's had plenty big soca tunes. But again, if this is something you're just touching and touch out, you're not making this your brand, then how you could get vexed when I hear you're touching and people like, nah, dog, we can't offer you. We see your persona, nothing wrong with your persona, Brian, saying don't be on your conscious thing and wherever. But is that the is that the persona of a soca artist?
He did release a soca song the other day, and people started questioning me like, Dan, but how you want to promote, slackness? To be fair, the song wasn't slackness.
Yeah, exactly, it wasn't slackness.
But people are like, oh, you don't sing soca, and that slackness rule, and it's supposed to be a righteous man. He was explaining, I really can't remember what his explanation was.
Well, the explanation is I'm not singing slackness.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, but he went into more to explain something about he bringing the message to the music kind of thing, and there's the music right now and whatever for the season and whatever, and he still want to continue with the message now. Yeah. So, I mean,
I just you have to put yourself in the shoes of the industry. Okay, take any other art form. You feel Drake could? Drake is a bad example because he does to some extent jump in and out. He's touch Afro beats and this.
Yeah, but to be fair, look what's going on with Drake now. I mean, people. Probably the mainstream or the commercial people might still like him, but the real rap people like, nah, dog, we fed up on you now.
That last album, he get real licks with that last album, right? But okay, he's an anomaly, so let's move him out. But any other artist, you think Kendrick Lamar could hit your rap today and then sing soul music tomorrow and then sing gospel the next day and come back to rap? No, you can't do that. You can't. And that to some like people who's talk about how, who don't like soca as an art form or don't take it seriously. That is what it is kind of point out, that this was men just touching in this thing. They're just trying a thing, and then when the season done, they're going somewhere else and they're doing something else. And what's that? You know what I'm saying? That you can't, I can't take you seriously when that is what you're doing. So again, people like him need to stop and say, okay, what am I attempting to do? Because if I want to be a soca artist and I want to get bookings during the Carnival season, I need to present the package.
But I think that's one, right? But I also think, just thinking about it with Orlando, right? Because remember, let's be real, dog. In Trinidad and Tobago, that vacuum situation, right? I think it had more people kind of pushing for it than people against it. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I know. I know. You're right.
The vacuum number, right?
Yeah.
You have to be real careful now because I'm back up now.
Yeah.
So the vacuum situation, right? Vacuum, right? And possibly that some people must get turned off him. If you understand, just we talk more fans now. So you might be okay music. The DJs might have been forgetting you or not on you, or you're out of their mind. Yeah. But fans ain't even, because you turn off some people off of your because of that decision or that vibe you was pushing up. So fans ain't even the regular amount of fans you had.
And maybe the types of people who would have been drawn to you, maybe they would prefer your other music. Right? They would prefer your conscious reggae music. Right? They might not be the type who would want to listen to your
soca.
Your soca, right? So it might be that. It might be. But I don't think, because to be fair, I don't know how many people even knew. I mean, yes, he has his fans, and you and I would know and so on. But the larger public, if he come out with Berlin again, I don't think the larger public will be like, oh, that is the man who's, anti-vacuum. Nah, I don't think that will Berlin will reach you and you would like it, or single. If single all day and DJs play it and they bill it and I think people are like, what vacuum? I don't know. So I just think number one, the tune not that good. It's not shit, but it is not as big as those tunes. It's not as well done as those old soca music, his old soca hits. Number one. And number two, I think with Carnival being out of the consciousness for so long, us being inside this the hiatus, and then you not keeping that brand steady, you just kind of trading on the fact that I produce good music and DJs know that, so when I drop a good song, they will run with it. Nah, the industry is more than that. It's more than that. I think you have to make a decision at this stage. Is this why going for, or because I think his persona has, if he sticks with the conscious music, it'd rather be reggae per se, but if he stays out of the soca lane, or even if he crafting a name for himself in soca, as like how Kanye has kind of done with gospel music, right? I am going to bring gospel to rap music, but it's not going to sound like gospel rap. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe he could do that with soca, but he had to stay steady with that. That is my persona. That is what I do, and build that, because he has the talent. But you can't be doing that and then going and hitting me a reggae tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm confused. I don't know what to do. So, last thing on the music thing. I think we had to talk about the soca situation in Jamaica. The situation with some of the grumblings coming out. It's been happening for a while, but it came to a head recently again with Bounty. Right, well, with Sting and I Love Soca happening, and on the same night, and I Love Soca doing well, and Sting not doing so well. And then Bounty pointing it out, and people fighting Bounty for pointing it out. Right?
And it didn't seem to me like he was being malicious. I think it was more of like malicious towards soca.
No, he wasn't being malicious. But no, I think that's why he got fight. I think that's why he got. That's why Jamaicans fight him. I'm not talking about Trinidad. Jamaicans fight him.
Well, Trinidadians was upset with him because that's how they took it, right? Like he trying to put down soca now. You understand? Like, what was the problem? But he was just calling out his people.
Right, he's calling out dancehall music.
Yeah, yes. He was calling out his people across there and like, hey, dog, because they're singing shit.
Yeah.
You understand? Soca now taking over. Now, Trinidadians, we would think, we should be able to take over.
Okay. All right.
Right? If, so, and I mean, it is what it is in terms of he had to do what he had to do for his industry, because he only wouldn't like if he hop across and to sing full-fledged soca across here and men start to get pushed out, if you understand what I'm saying. So each trying to do what he had to do to save his industry. But
I have my thoughts on it. But what you think is driving you think he's warning against the fact that in his eyes dancehall is dying in the home of dancehall, of Jamaican dancehall at least, we should say, because there are all kind of different dancehall music, but right, that kind of dancehall. But soca, something that traditionally was like soccer in the States, that's what soca music was to the world of music, as soccer was to the world of sport in the States. But it seemed to be changing now. What you feel is behind that?
I think it's party music. I think Jamaica lost the party music. I think they went into the hand up in the air, the man music. They went into that kind of, what the hell is called that type of dancehall? That's zest kind of dancehall.
The badness music.
Yeah, the badness music. And them kind of thing. And I think at the end of the day, people want a party, dog. At the end of the day, and well saying in the day, boy. But yeah, people want a party. I think people want a party. People want back that party life. And I think that's what it is.
I think that's kind of it, right? I think though that it had to do with a kind of cultural shift in Jamaica, economic and a cultural shift. And by cultural, I don't mean just musical culture. I mean some of the habits and customs of the people, right? I think what is driving, because dancehall, they still make dancehall music that could be, that's party music, right? They still make ding dong, not all ding dong, yeah, ding dong, still makes dancing music. That's still big, you know.
But that's the thing. Right in Jamaica, there are a lot of artists who vex with ding dong. They're ding dong ravers, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of artists who vex with him, right? Because he is singing that type of music. He is getting the corporate bookings. He is getting, and they're trying to say, well, he fighting everybody else. He bad-mouthing people to get them bookings. And all them kind of things. Once again, self-awareness. They don't want to check what they're doing, right? And so that is it. He is singing the music that he thinks that they want or they need or whatever the case may be. And to be fair, that is music he always sang, right? And so, and the government gave him the push, the corporate giving him the push, or whatever the case may be. But the rest of them not doing it.
No, but I think Bounty was known as the man singing only man music, right? There was artists who was singing music for the girls, and Bounty was singing music for man. Worthless was singing for man. And you know what I'm saying? So dancehall always had badness. It always had, yes, there were tunes that, you know, used to have like a little bubbling tunes. But I mean, I don't listen to dancehall that much now, but I still do hear music that you could tell is meant for dancing, for partying. I think the difference is that they are moving into the all-inclusive culture. Because you see that I Love Soca show that Bounty was talking about, that all-inclusive, right? And the promoters of that show have been pushing this kind of party experience situation for years now, right? And I think that more and more people in Jamaica are developing a taste for that, a demand for that, and dancehall will go well with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't bring Skengdon to perform in an all-inclusive, right? Can't bring Skilly Bang. You know what I'm saying? Can't bring Jeff Fuliotto. Them fellas, that ghetto culture is pushing up against a kind of a move away, kind of like what we had some years ago, where everything started to move uptown. And
back then it was techno music when it started to move uptown, techno music, dance music was the thing.
Right. And soca went from, that's when you went through the real what you call it, groovy soca thing, where, as you used to say, we used to be singing R&B soca, and everybody wanted to dress up nice and go somewhere and not get on too wild and get on too, you understand what I'm saying? Everything kind of moved uptown to look what fetting is now. You know what I mean? If you have a fet that is, you know, and there's 100 or so going, you don't know, that ain't gonna be the big fet of the night. That's not gonna be the thing that's on every on the lips of everybody. A certain crew will go there, but it's not going to be the fet you're gonna want to go to. You understand what I'm saying? So I think what it is that they're developing a taste for that kind of partying, and dancehall isn't finding a way to cater for that. I think people like Ding Dong could probably perform in a dance like that. But they, at the end of the day, they're Caribbean people. So they want to bubble, they want to wine, they want to ting. But they also want a different kind of, you know, a vibe that is go along with that. And a lot of the music the Jamaican, that Jamaican dancehall singers, dancehall artists doing now just doesn't lend itself well to that. And that is what is making, I mean, he was saying that in evening ghettos and things. I mean, you know, people I talk to say they don't know what you're talking about. Right? But maybe because the events being held in more in downtown Kingston now, that's what you mean. But it's still not really.
Yeah. You know, we're not ready or whatever.
Right.
Whatever Monday or.
Yeah. and hearing them thing. But I think there's a growing kind of middle class in Jamaica are growing young people who not on the dark vibes, and they see all inclusive type culture. They see parties in kind of like what ATI supposed to be, right? They're seeing that in the small islands, and they're seeing, that looking cool. I could dress up nice. I could go in my brunchy type outfit and with a purse in my hand, and
So I remember one promoter saying this a few years ago, a Jamaican promoter, and they were in an interview, and he was saying that one of the reasons, the Soca fets, the Carnival thing was growing in Jamaica. He said because the Soca fets or Soca parties were way more organized than the regular Jamaica thing now. And he was saying for the people who might be a little more sophisticated, they would have felt more comfortable attending those events than the people who were less.
See,
and that was a few years ago. I watched an interview about 4 or 5 years ago.
Right, and I think to kind of making my point there, there's a different kind of event experience. People wanted to move away from what they might see as a kind of trashy type events, and they want to move to something better. And not that Jamaican music could only be trashy, and I'm saying that, but just saying that dancehall right now isn't lending. And so to Bounty Killer's point, where he's saying it, the music kind of in a barrel, or they're keeping it in a barrel, meaning they're not, the artist not trying to expand, they're not trying to change up the way they operate, so the music staying in a zone.
But I mean, there's a real interesting conversation to have, because how do they do that though? Because so Charlie Black is one who did it. Is the one clearly who did it most successfully, right? But could they do more of that? If you understand what I'm saying, without losing the idea. Because let me be real though, that Flip It Like a Flippergram song that have real bacchanal on Twitter right now, on Twitter, on TikTok right now. That's a soca, dog.
Yeah.
That's a soca that a Jamaican artist sang. Right?
Yeah.
It's one of the most popular songs he has. It's a very big song. But can Jamaicans actually make a type of music to fill that gap that it will not lose the identity, if you understand what I'm saying?
I think they can. Well, it all depends on what you consider your identity. To a man in the ghetto, he might think, well, once you're not singing badness, once you're not singing in full yard twang, that is losing my identity. You know what I mean? And so no, he go say nah, because unless it song like August song to he, then it's not dancehall. You know what I mean? Whereas to some people, I'd be like, once it's a Jamaican singing it, and I could there's certain elements of a dancehall beat vibe or whatever in it. All right, then cool. Kind of like when we don't know if we're doing EDM or we're doing Afrobeat, so we always trying to infuse something into the soca, right? And now we're doing a jab, which is still soca, but a different kind of soca to what we are accustomed to. So now we want, is this still Trinidadian music? Is this still Trini? If we just writing a jab rhythm, is this still a Trini vibe? Who knows? But you had to let it go. You had to let it breed, and then it will work itself out. When you stifle it, when they say, nah, can't do that. And once you're doing that, lock you off. We ain't playing here. Then you will stifle the music. I mean, it's kind of strange to hear it from Bounty, who you would think that what you're hearing now is just a younger version of him. Skengdon and Skilly Bang is Bounty in a younger form. You know what I'm saying? Yes, they might have taken the vulgarity to a different level, but the voice, I mean, they don't sound like Bounty, but the fact that they in the case of Skengdon in particular, using that deep voice, real violence, when he's singing about girl again, a little bit vulgar. That was Bounty. Bounty had a song called Long Donkey Cord, you know.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? So this is what you're seeing now is just that on steroids. So it kind of strange to hear him talking about that because much of what is dancehall music now that he might say is in a barrel and can't reach no way, can't reach outside of the ghetto culture is young him. So he should look at himself in the mirror and say, this is what I birthed. You know what I'm saying? People like who, boy?
But I think to be fair to him, I think when he had things like Sting and these kind of big events that supported his type of music, you had even Sound Clash, let's be real, you know, that type of music supported his living, then it was all well and good. But now when they do have those shows, you do have those shows, you do have Sound Clashing really that relevant anymore. Now, this really switch out up. So I could understand why he would have said, well, nah, I was going along with what was happening then. Right?
No, well, I mean, people like Skeng and Skilly Bang and them fellas, there's no shortage of success for them fellas. Them fellas streaming real videos. Them fellas, they're singing music with Busta Rhymes and Nicki Minaj and things. So it's not to say they're not achieving success. So they're achieving success. It's just that what they're not doing is taking the music to a wider audience. Because there are lots of Jamaicans in New York and there's a kind of a relationship between hip hop and dancehall, and so those artists could do those songs, do those collabs with those dancehall artists, and kind of help to bridge the gap with their relevance. Because it's not really young rappers, it's older rappers doing it with these young dancehall artists to kind of stay relevant with a younger demographic, but they're not taking their music anywhere. They're not collabing with Skilly Bang and Skengdon. Is not taking their music to a different audience. Any way that collabing with Sean Paul would have been taking their music to a different audience 10 years ago. It's not doing that. But those fellas are successful. It's not like they're not successful.
No, but the thing is not successful. I think what I'm saying is in Jamaica. Why he's saying that is because there's not I don't want to use the word market, but because that's what his issue is the music they're doing is not helping build the industry for them there.
Right.
But the music Bounty was doing then helped whatever it had going on in Jamaica at the time.
Well, the only difference, and this is where the dancehall artists over there just had the whole issue, and I was talking to somebody about it this weekend. You know, they what they would say is that they're not doing anything different than what the old artists used to do. It's just that they're getting fight down now. The events getting shut down. They can't hold events. They're not getting the licenses to hold events. And the same with that Soca artists getting the license to hold events. And there's a whole push against the violent, in particular, violent dancehall music. So they don't feel as if the culture is supporting them. The authorities over there is supporting the music in the way that they would have supported the music in the past. But what they don't understand is that this is where the problem is happening. Because of the growing middle class, there's a growing amount of people like, I don't want that. You understand what I'm saying? Back when Bounty was doing it, it was accepted widely. Yes, there would have been uptown people in Jamaica saying, that's not our kind of music. But, you know, generally, the wider public were in favor of it. Now they're bumping up against a growing demographic of people who are like, listen, you see that? We don't want that. And so now they're feeling like they're being like, hey, but what kind of, what is this? How we getting fight from our own government and we own, you know what I'm saying? And they will say things like, you know, they'll get a license to promoter to throw a soca fete, and it's all kind of vulgarity them singing. You know, girl coming out in tongues, look at a parade. You know what I mean? Girl wearing all kind of thing on the road, but I can't hold my, whatever it's called, passers now. You understand? Where, you know, people jumping from roof between girl leg and all kind of shit. They're like, why I can't do that? Look at that soca fed. Look at what they're doing out on the road. So that could be their argument. But I think it's really just a cultural shift in Jamaica. So that ghetto culture is coming up against a growing resistance state. And so we'll see how they go deal with that, how we go change, right?
So I feel we'll have to do some investigative journalism and go to Jamaica Carnival this year.
I feel so. So anybody who is interested in hearing our the results of our investigations.
Yeah, and we could do some interviews and things.
Of course.
In Jamaica itself.
So I think we should start a GoFundMe for that in particular.
Right.
To send Jude and Naldo to Jamaica Carnival 2023. And let we get to the bottom of the issue.
What really going on?
Yeah.
You hear the word on the street.
Yeah.
You understand?
Precisely. I think that is what we should be doing. And, the Jamaican border culture could hire us after we do all the expose and things.
But we could probably reach out to they have a Visit Jamaica thing.
I don't know.
You must have some Jamaica tourist board or whatever.
Yeah. But them feel them so bad they don't need that. People come there, so they might feel we don't need to advertise Jamaica though.
But we come to talk about music. We come to talk about soca and thing.
Yeah.
Trini boys come to talk about soca in Jamaica and all your affinity for soca and
So all of that, Caribbean connection thing, let we get it.
Right, Caribbean Airlines will link up too. Like a sponsor the tickets.
Yeah.
We could make this shit happen.
Yeah.
Ready to wrap it up? We done close out 2 hours already.
Wow.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, and it has been a while. The only thing we really touch on, anything else?
The president thing, but I know. I know how you feel, but that could be quick.
And we could touch on that next time because that president thing has some more time, right? The 2 people who nominated so far is the opposition nominate
Israel Khan,
and
the government went with Christine Kangaloo, who's the current president of the Senate.
Yeah, right. So,
but if the PNM and they've said that they're sticking with Christine Kangaloo, so she's going to be president. Only thing that could stop that would be the public persuading, Dr. Rowley and they to change their mind. But once they are sticking with their nomination, then she will be the next president. They don't need to. According to the Prime Minister, it would be nice if we had consensus, but if we don't, that's life.
So we're dabbling now some more. Because I think that is a topic that might need.
No, I don't feel so. No,
serious.
Listen. I just want to make it plain to the authorities that I know the games they're playing. Right? And if the public is willing to get caught up in them games, then good for them. But I know the game they're playing, them know the game they're playing. And so I don't know why the public isn't just calling them out on it and saying, hey, listen, what's up with this shit now?
Well, the thing is, clearly somebody called him out and for him to have a whole press conference to talk about it.
No, but he had a press conference to talk about, to announce who they were nominating, and then he had a press conference to talk about crime, and then he mentioned the responses that he got from the UNC, but he only called a press conference to announce, because he had a meeting, and he had to hold a press conference after to announce what the government was doing in terms of...
Which press conference is either one?
There was one on, I think it was last week, Friday.
No, it had one yesterday.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, but the one on Friday was to announce Christine Kangaloo, and then the one yesterday, it wasn't specifically to talk about the response put forward by the UNC, but he did mention it. He addressed different things. Crime being one, the situation with the young girl who died, and so on and so forth. But he then went on to respond to, or to talk about some of the responses that came from the UNC, but he didn't respond. This wasn't to respond to the public's outcry about the selection or the nomination of Christine Kangaloo. It was specifically to deal with some of the allegations being made by Wade Mark and about Christine Kangaloo being nominated. They claiming that it's unconstitutional and so on. That's what he was addressing. But it wasn't like, he feels pressured at this stage that he has to go out of his way to defend the nomination of Christine Kangaloo. I think he nominated Christine Kangaloo to goad the UNC, and they nominated Israel Khan in turn to goad him into, okay, so you nominate a PNM.
Right.
We're going to nominate somebody who could be easily perceived as a UNC And I want to hear your arguments because you now tell me it don't make a difference that she's a PNM, right?
Right.
So she that don't disqualify her. If you kept saying over and over that don't disqualify her, and you don't feel like she can't discharge her duties, blah blah blah. All right, well I nominate Israel Khan. Where you go say in response to that? And then he says the obvious thing, which is, but he has been vocally against me, the prime minister. Well, so what? So what? When if he given the president role, he will magically become unbiased, right? Just like if we give Christine Kangaloo the role, she will magically have no affiliation or no motivation to be impartial towards you. Well, the same thing Israel Khan. He's a senior counsel, prominent lawyer. Once he understands that once he adopts that role, whatever feelings he had about Keith Rowley, he had to disappear, right? But that's what I'm saying. Is games is he knows that, they know that, but if he's okay with having a situation where you could have, because the thing is we've been having elections these days that have been a little dicey, decisions that sometimes decisions have to be made by the president with regards to how to deal with the outcomes of certain things. We've had it in the past. We had a Tobago House of Assembly election recently.
Right there.
Yeah, So if you are okay with one of those situations arising and having the decision being made by somebody who was a former senator of your party, then okay. If you're okay with how that could be perceived, then fine. And I suspect they don't care about how that looks. So, and I could do it. So, you know what? Let me do it. Let me drive them wild. You know what I mean? Let me drive them wild.
I don't think it's driving them wild. Drive who wild? I mean,
the opposition. No, not the people.
Yeah.
No. Nothing stopping me. He keeps saying over and over, she's not constitutionally barred. Okay, all right, we get. Very few of us are constitutionally barred. You could be the president. I could be the president. So, okay, yeah, fine. Well, nominate her. And if you are okay with a situation arising where a very key decision would need to be made that could have serious political ramifications, and that decision is being made by somebody who's a PNM, okay, if you're okay with the optics of that, then fine. Then do what you have to do. And I think we're going to have Christine Kangaloo as president, so it doesn't make a difference what anybody says.
Hey, man blocking the man in one that situation like what play off with Tobago the last time, because if we had somebody there to make the call, they would not go through this and have to go back to the polls and Valley and them to kick them up.
Well, I mean, I'm struggling to remember the details of the issue, but I don't know for sure if what might have been able to happen in the case of what decision the president may or may not have been able to make under because obviously even as president, the decisions can't be made all willy-nilly. But we had a situation where Ian R. Robinson made a very crucial decision as to what would happen in the case of a deadlock, right? And he was forever labeled by Bazio Bande, who did not like his decision at the point in time, right? So we could have that again. That can happen in the future.
Probably not deadlock.
Well, we could, yeah. I mean, well, not because with the current makeup of the constituencies, but you can't have a situation where the president could be in a position to make a decision that has serious political ramifications, and that decision may allow for the use of discretionary power by the president, meaning that is not just a rubber stamp, right? And if that is the case, and you have somebody who is not just I feel is a PNM or who I think was a PNM, right? If we okay with that, then
hey, go through,
yeah, and that's what we're gonna have. So, what difference it make?
I mean,
I'll see you talking about it.
And the thing is, we have seen Trinidadians be okay with all kind of other indiscretions being brought to them. So,
well, to be fair though, from all I've seen, I've looked at opinion polls done by the 3 major publications. And all of them the people seem to be like, nah, we could find somebody else. So I don't know if that will persuade Dr. Rowley to change his mind. But I haven't heard a lot of people saying it okay. I've seen a lot of those. I watch opinion polls on the news, and then I've seen.
Yeah, but I think if you ask somebody, though, say they could have somebody else, but I don't think nobody willing to go.
No, they're not going to protest.
Yeah,
they're not going to protest, and I mean it's not going to be the make or break us whether they vote for them or not.
So and they know that. I think they know that. So
yeah.
As I say, she's going to be the president.
Yeah, she is going to be. What I'm saying, if anything, the only thing that could stop it is if somebody's able to drum up some, resistance from the people. And I mentioned the fact that the opinion polls to show that, well, at least there appears to be most people. They're not like vehemently against it, but they're like, really and truly, we can find somebody who's not PNM. Like that sounds a little bit weird, And then obviously the sycophants say, well, she served as president already because she, as the president of the Senate, she would serve whenever she's acting president, right? Yeah, but she was acting president. That's completely different from her permanently taking up the post as you know what I'm saying? Because in the event of if something had taken place where a major decision had to be made and where the president had some power to exercise some discretion and it was a major decision, I think they would have called Paula May Weeks back from wherever she was to make that decision. You understand what I'm saying? They wouldn't have said, oh, well, she's acting now and she's here today, so she will make decisions. No, Paula May Weeks would have been called back from wherever she was on vacation or whatever she's doing to come back and make that decision as the substantive president of the country, right? So the fact that she performed as acting president makes zero difference, right? And shouldn't make any difference to anybody with sense. But,
Well, the thing is, everybody have brought up that topic too, right? You know what they just tell me? But what the president is anyway, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The president insignificant in the whole scheme of things. Right. And I mean, as you say, it might take one situation like that.
Yeah.
But the chances of that situation occurring, most people, but that might never happen.
Well, my response to them would be, well then, okay, if they don't, why is he so insistent on putting her? There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of capable professionals who could perform that function, right? Did you ever hear about Paula May Weeks before she was nominated?
No.
For president? Nor did I. I had heard about Max Richards, yes, but very little, and only because I knew somebody who was one of his students.
You skip Carmona, did you?
No, I reached out.
Because you have to just going backward and skip Carmona.
No. I was going to say I didn't know of any, but then I remembered Max Richards.
Okay.
Right? Carmona. Did you know of him?
No.
Right. Well, everyone knew Ian Robinson, of course.
Nah, we can't go further back than that. We got real small dog.
Nur Hassan Ali.
Real small. I can't remember when he was elected. I remember being small and he was the president.
Yeah.
He was the first president I knew of.
Right. There was anybody between Nur and Ian Robinson?
Not that I could remember.
How was it then? There was Ellis Clark, Nur Hassan Ali, and then Robinson.
Yeah.
Nur Hassan Ali. So for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, but the point is, there were several people who were not known by anybody, right? They were just professionals, esteemed professionals in their own rank, in their own right, right? And Max Richards wasn't even a lawyer, right? So it didn't matter to say, well, you had to be a lawyer with constitutional expertise to perform any function, right? So we can't find nobody else. So if it's unimportant, then why her?
I give him a friend. I give him a friend you work.
I would say if it doesn't matter, then let's find somebody else. Because it doesn't matter. So then why bring somebody who has a political connection to you? Just find somebody.
Because I'm a friend.
Right, no, but
nobody gonna oppose that.
Right, no, but you can't say that. You can't tell him as your friend, right? You can't say that. So if I'm saying I have a problem with somebody who is politically affiliated being nominated for president, you say it don't matter what, because the president don't do nothing anyway. Well, then just put my mind at ease and just find somebody else. Because it's not that crucial, so why it needs to be her? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because the person just go and sit down and earn a big salary for doing nothing anyway. So, all right, find somebody else who's not politically affiliated. Simple. Because I could ask the question, Or I could simply posit that I think it is. It could play a crucial role. And that's why they want somebody who's politically affiliated. So, I mean, I think the proper response to that would actually be the people who were nominated before were probably politically connected and you just didn't know.
Right, yeah.
Right? Because they would never nominate somebody who's not a friend.
Yeah.
Right? Or who they feel would give them problems or mightn't do their bidding should, the time reach. And I take that's probably the best rebuttal that you can present. But don't tell me the president don't do nothing. Because in that case, well then just find somebody not politically affiliated and give them the big money work.
So who do I get? Who they know that not politically affiliated?
Me.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
They could nominate me. I'll do the work.
All right, well, hey, you hear that? We put it out there, Dr. Rowley. We know you have some PNM people that's taking the podcast. Yeah. I nominated Jude.
Yeah, I for that. If it don't make no difference, right? And anybody could, the person that's going there to get a salary for doing nothing. Yeah, I could do that. I'm a conversationalist. I could have conversations with dignitaries when they visit. I'm well read enough. Yeah.
And if you have a law degree.
Right.
Might be a lawyer, but you have a law degree.
Right, yeah, precisely. I could brush up on my constitutional law, and so whenever I had to make a little decision, I could be guided. I could, when the advisors talking to me, I could have a little idea what they're talking about. Yeah. I could do that. I could do, if the work is nothing, bro. You understand what I'm saying? I could do that. I could do it $1 million a year. No, I could definitely do it. You understand what I'm saying? I don't mind moving the family into the president's house. I sure they go like it too. So,
yeah, but that's the thing.
And I definitely impartial. So you ain't go, on the off chance that I have to make a decision, I really ain't care who is rising sun and who's body say. I go make a fair decision.
Or who's PEP?
Whoever them is. Wherever their symbol is, right? It don't matter to me. So yeah, if it do, anybody could do it, then yeah, I nominate me.
But that's not how it works.
Of course not.
You have a link, brethren.
Of course, and on top of that, the job does have some significance, which, I mean, I kind of half joking when I say I could do it. I mean, I don't feel I could perform as a statesman in the way that a president ought to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In the way a president ought to, I probably can't perform in that role. But, it as I say, I half joking when I say I could do it. But I think there's some, it is really just a sort of the role of a diplomat. You know what I mean? And maybe that's where people say I can't do it because I'm not very diplomatic. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you might be diplomatic here, but I think if you need to be diplomatic, I'm pretty sure you could.
Yeah, I could be. I could be. Yes, I could. If they pay me $1 million, I could be. I will definitely be diplomatic. But I think some people might be like, nah, I don't think you suited for that.
That because only here and here. That because only here and here.
You're a little bit too real.
Yeah.
So anyhow.
Yeah, you wrap it up. We have plenty of things to touch on even next week. So, hey, we here.
We come back with a bang. Listen to the whole thing because this episode I think was fire from start to finish.
Yeah, and well, boy, more fun, more 2023. Yeah, nice. Trust and believe.
Yeah,
nice. Right? I have a little idea. I could toss it by Jude and see what you see and so, yeah, for even bigger and better things. So, we out.
Nice.
Hungry to dead, but anyhow, we out.